Might be deja vu in Georgia. The polls have closed in the all-important twin Senate runoffs, but we won't know the winners until tomorrow at the earliest. While we wait for those results, let's remember what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said back in November.
Now we take Georgia, and then we change America.
Let's pray that balance of power is kept in Washington, my friend. Joining me now is Will Chamberlain, lawyer and co-publisher of Human Events. All right, Will. What are you seeing here, my friend? How concerned are you? You're a pretty cool customer. How concerned are you about this one?
I mean, I think it's going to be extremely close. If you look at both the polls and the betting odds, they're saying that it's going to come down to the wire. Nobody's favored that much in either way. I think it's very, very important to the Republicans and the conservative movement going forward that we hold at least one of these seats and prevent the structural changes to our government that you were talking about in your monologue. I don't want to pack court. I don't want new states. I want our system of government to continue and for conservatives to have meaningful political power going forward. And that's what's at stake.
And what do you think about these Democrat candidates that are up right now? I mean, just tell me, I think for some people, specifically with Ossoff, it seems like he's a creation of the media and Hollywood to begin with. No one really, what did this guy do? What does he stand for? And yet, as you pointed out, I mean, the polls have him, could go either way. He could end up winning.
Yeah, I'm not going to mince words. I think Ossoff is a sociopath. The guy's ability to just flat out lie about Kelly Loeffler and say that she campaigned with the Klansmen when that's just flat out false. It's a hell of an insult to make against someone. And it's the kind of thing that would be actionable in defamation if Kelly Loeffler really wanted to. But he just says it and he breezes by it as though it's not a big deal to accuse somebody of being a member of the KKK without evidence. Secondly, I think Warnock himself is also a really obnoxious character, a guy who had child abuse going on at his camp and obstructed a police investigation into it, who ran over his wife's foot with his car for no reason. I mean, these guys should be screaming, these are terrible human beings just outside of politics, and they have no business being anywhere near governmental power.
What do they, I mean, I'm asking this from the other side, looking at this as a conservative. It's fascinating to me. They'll be part of the Democrat machinery if they win, and a very critical piece, as we've been describing here. I mean, if they get both of these Senate seats, we're in for a very different future for this country, at least politically speaking, for the next 4 years, or for the next 2 years, pardon me. But tell me this, what do they even stand for? Like, what are the areas that Warnock and Ossoff going to say, or what are the areas of appeal in terms of how they're getting the electorate to show up for them?
Well, I mean, I think there's obviously the $2,000 checks. I do think Mitch McConnell miscalculated by not getting that done. Normally, the Senate is supposed to be like the coaster or something, or the teacup, something that cools things down. That's not the case right now with the Senate in the balance in an election in a week. I think we really should have taken the step and gotten that money out to people.
Let's ask this: why did Mitch? You raise a great point. Why did Mitch stand in the way on this one? He's a savvy character usually, whether one likes him or not. He certainly understands how the Senate functions. You're going into this critical race for Senate control. Trump is saying give the $2,000 checks. You're giving $600 checks. You already gave a $600 check. You got all this other money sloshing around going to gender programs in Pakistan. What's Mitch's deal?
I'm not sure. I really don't understand. The Republican Party has a PR problem as a result of this. I mean, you can't make these arguments about pinching pennies when you've got all this pork going out to these bizarre State Department programs. It just doesn't work. And there's a real benefit to just giving everybody $2,000. I mean, there's a stigma that comes with having to apply for government relief. And there's a reason this stuff's very popular. The money just shows up in your account and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go pleading to the government for it. It's actually kind of oddly efficient if you think that the government is generally incompetent, for the government just be like, we're not even going to try and allocate this in a way that, and have the bureaucracy for that. We're just going to give everybody money.
I know people would point to changing demographics in the state of Georgia, and that's certainly a part of the story. And we can't dismiss facts and data. They're important for our analysis of this. But just at a more general macro level, it feels like the GOP may look. We've lost in Georgia so far. I mean, Trump, he can keep arguing, saying he's not, but as of right now, obviously Joe Biden gets the W on this one, putting aside all the fraud and everything else. We may possibly lose these two Senate seats. If Georgia is a place where we have to defend so much, doesn't that raise questions about what the GOP is doing nationally? I mean, how do we, basically I'm saying, Will, shouldn't we be sitting here saying Georgia's a lock? And we're not sitting here saying that at all. We're saying this could go either way. There's a bigger lesson here.
Yeah, it's distressing. I mean, Georgia should be a lock. It's gone Republican in a bazillion elections before this one. And it's distressing that it's so close now. I think you have a combination of, there's a lot of states where I think President Trump performed better than previous Republican nominees in the Rust Belt. But I think Georgia is one of those places he was just going to underperform because you have a lot of those suburban counties in Atlanta that are kind of the classic, not necessarily never Trump, but like not fans of Trump type Republicans. So, I mean, that's part of the explanation here. But another part of it is, I can't imagine that, like, there's this weird move that people have been pushing for weeks not to vote for the Republican candidates. The idea that that for some reason that will help accomplish conservative goals. It's one of the most nonsensical ideas. And I guarantee you there's no Democrat pushing a similar thesis on their side of the party, even in the face of Joe Biden thwarting the progressives in a number of key areas. So I don't know if maybe the self-sacrificial Republicans on our side, the Suicide Caucus, are thrilled that we're going to lose control of the Senate. But I certainly hope we don't.
Will, I just want to ask, do you have any expectations for this objection in the Senate that will be raised tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I have no normative problem with them pushing for, going to the wall for the president. I mean, the Democrats spent 4 years impeaching the guy, threatening the 25th Amendment. So I don't find these appeals to democratic norms persuasive. That said, I don't think it can work. It seems like all the senators and representatives are invoking the Electoral Count Act to try and object to state electoral votes. You need a majority in both the House and the Senate to sustain one of these objections. We don't have a majority in the House. So there's no real foreseeable circumstance where this works. So I think the inevitable result is people lodge their objections. The objections are heard and then voted down by one house, and Biden is ultimately certified as the winner of the election.
All right, Will, appreciate it, man. Good to see you.